Chapter 2807. Three pieces of important news spread across the entire Imperial Star region and the entire artificial intelligence system. When everyone saw the three pieces of news, they were all stunned. Especially the people of the Imperial Dynasty's territory. They felt their bodies go numb, and their vision went black. The Imperial Dynasty actually decided to retreat, and they're only bringing the elite and core disciples away. The commoners are leaving them here. SSS, the news of the Dragon Palace and the Abyss species charging over has just spread, and the Imperial Dynasty is retreating. Only the elite and core disciples are following them. What about the rest of the Imperial Dynasty? They are the Abyss species. They have no intelligence and only know how to kill. Without the protection of the Imperial Dynasty, they might be swallowed by the Abyss species. The Imperial Dynasty is abandoning the commoners and only protecting the elite disciples? This is just too disappointing. The Imperial Court won't be able to defend against the invasion of the Dragon Palace and countless abyssal species. Even if they can't defend against them, they can't bring everyone away. There are trillions of people here. How can they bring all of them away? Therefore, the Imperial Court chose to give up on a portion of them. Those who are abandoned are probably doomed. The Abyss species are bloodthirsty. Haze, a disaster is about to descend. Some people discussed and analyzed on the artificial intelligence system. The commoners in the Imperial Dynasty's territory felt cold and filled with despair. They were abandoned by the Imperial Dynasty. Their future was probably doomed. After all, they were the Abyss species. The commoners in the Imperial Dynasty's territory were terrified and wanted to escape to other places. But since they were all commoners, it meant that they weren't very strong. With their strength, where could they escape to? This caused many cowardly people to break down. The trillions of people in the Imperial Dynasty's territory definitely couldn't escape. Now, they could only wait for their fate to arrive. They didn't know whether they would live or die. But one thing was for sure. They had lost all sense of belonging to the Imperial Dynasty. That was because the Imperial Dynasty didn't care about them at all. Numerous people started to question the Imperial Dynasty on the artificial intelligence system. At this moment, some people started to raise some questions. The female master of the giant beast department was a human. So why did she become enemies with the Imperial Dynasty? That female master said that the Imperial Dynasty had chased them for many years, and they nearly died many times. Now they were taking revenge. Was that true? The Dragon King said that the Imperial Court wanted to destroy the Dragon Palace. Was that true? The first and second points might not be proven, but the third point was that the Dragon Palace wanted the Imperial Court to annihilate them. It might be true. The Sky Edge sect violated the rules and attacked the disciples of the Dragon Palace, but the Imperial Court protected them. The Night God Emperor had directly killed the disciple of the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, and the Imperial Court had ignored him. It was obvious that they were siding with the Night Clan. From the looks of it, if the Imperial Court didn't have anything against the Dragon Palace, they wouldn't have stopped it. No matter how strong Night God Emperor was, he had to give face to the Imperial Court. If the Imperial Court said that they wouldn't kill the Dragon King's disciple, Night God Emperor wouldn't dare to do so. All in all, many Imperial Dynasty people felt that it was because the Imperial Dynasty wanted to wipe out the Dragon Palace, which was why the Dragon Palace Dragon King was taking revenge. Moreover, this kind of sound was increasing in number. The reason why there were such voices was because the Imperial Dynasty had abandoned the commoners. Out of the trillions of people, even 1% of them were unhappy with what the Imperial Court was doing was enough to cause an uproar. The Imperial Court didn't treat them as one of their own. So why should they speak up for the Imperial Court? Especially when it concerned their own lives. The entire artificial intelligence system seemed to be in chaos. Countless fearful people in the Imperial Court territory sent out all sorts of messages, and many of them even cursed the Imperial Court. Protector, the artificial intelligence system is in chaos. I heard that some planets are in chaos too. Many of the commoners are unhappy with what we did. In the sky above the central region of the Imperial Court, numerous god countries floated in the air, and numerous Imperial Court disciples surrounded them. At the front, a protector said to the protector, "There's no need to bother about them. Our foundation isn't like these commoners. Let them shout whatever they want. After we return in half a month, they will still have to obey us. The imperial court protector said coldly. The few people beside him nodded slightly as they scanned the surroundings. All the disciples of the imperial court were preparing to flee with their god countries and loved ones. Buzz! Not long later, 3 majestic figures appeared in the void in front of them. When the protectors saw them, they flew over immediately. Great ancestor! They called out respectfully. The emperor lord in the lead nodded his head calmly and looked at everything below. Today was a humiliation for the imperial court. Unfortunately, we can't bring our imperial court islands away, the god emperor on the right said. It doesn't matter. At most, we will be back in half a month, the god emperor on the left said calmly. I hope that Dragon Palace doesn't destroy this place. If not, I will let them suffer. The god emperor on the right looked at the buildings below. The imperial court islands were too huge, and even if they were god emperors, they wouldn't be able to bring them away. They couldn't bring away the buildings above either. In fact, they couldn't even bring away the grotto heavens here. But it didn't matter. They would be back in half a month. I hope that the experts from the Witch Guild will arrive soon. The surrounding imperial court protectors and experts clenched their fists and said, prepare to retreat. A full day later, the imperial dynasty disciples and experts were finally done cleaning up. There were too many people. There were too many things that they had to bring. In the sky above the imperial court islands, there were many god countries floating in the air. Each god country gave off a strong aura. When the evacuation order sounded, the entire team flew in the direction of the heavenly witchcraft domain in a mighty manner. 3 god emperors led the way. Today the imperial court was like a stray dog. On the artificial intelligence system, this scene was also transmitted by some people. This scene caused countless people to be shocked once again. Dragon King, the people from the imperial court have escaped. In the void above the imperial court territory, Prime Minister Turtle looked at the artificial intelligence system in his hands and said with a smile, what a wise choice. Wang Xian smiled and turned on the artificial intelligence system to take a look. He smiled when he saw some of the content, especially the comments, replies, and disappointment of the people in the imperial court territory. Prime Minister Turtle, release a message in the name of the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace will not kill ordinary people. At the same time, the Dragon Palace will restrict the Abyss demons from killing ordinary people. Also tell everyone about the feud between the Dragon Palace, Qingyue, and the Imperial Court. Wang Xian said calmly, there was an old saying on Earth, he who wins the hearts of the people will rule the world. Although it wasn't suitable in this universe where the strong preyed on the weak, Wang Xian didn't want to be scolded by the people of the Imperial Star Domain. Winning the hearts of the people would bring him great benefits in the long run. Chapter 2808. Destroying God Emperor. Occupying the center of the Imperial Dynasty 7-inch Dragon Palace, made a statement on the computer. Look, Dragon Palace made a statement. At this moment, the Imperial Dynasty territory was in chaos. Many planets were in chaos. Someone wanted to use the teleportation formation to teleport to the evil demon island. To everyone, the most dangerous place was the Imperial Dynasty. But just at this moment, someone saw a statement from Dragon Palace on the computer. After seeing this statement, they were slightly stunned, and a look of surprise appeared on their faces. Let's not run anymore. Dragon Palace made a statement that they won't kill the innocent and will restrict the Abyss species. Dragon Palace made a statement. Dragon Palace is leading the Abyss species army to attack the Imperial Dynasty. We won't harm the civilians and will restrict the Abyss species from killing humans. Also, because of this battle, the Imperial Court has always been biased towards the Sky Edge sect and the Night Clan. Furthermore, because of the existence of the Night God Emperor, the Imperial Court has decided to destroy the Dragon Palace after the Abyss War. Apart from that, our Dragon Queen, who is the owner of the Giant Beast series, left the Dragon Palace by accident a few years ago and was chased by the Imperial Dynasty. She fled for 3 years and was forced into the Abyss to build the Giant Beast series. Dragon Palace, and the imperial dynasty have a huge feud. We won't rest until one side is wiped out. When the others found out that Dragon Palace suddenly made a statement, they were shocked. They immediately opened the computer to take a look. Looking at the information, everyone within the imperial court's territory was extremely excited. Dragon Palace will restrict the abyss species. That's good, that's good. We won't be in danger then. I see. No wonder Dragon Palace and the imperial dynasty will fight to the death. The imperial dynasty wants to wipe out Dragon Palace. Moreover, the Dragon Queen is being chased by the imperial dynasty. That giant beast woman can control 2 God Emperor level beasts. I didn't expect her to be the Dragon Queen, the wife of the Dragon King. No wonder the abyss species suddenly attacked us. The imperial dynasty wants to wipe out the Dragon Queen. This is her revenge. All these disasters were caused by the imperial dynasty. Support the Dragon Palace. Wipe out the imperial dynasty, wipe them out. Damn. The people from the imperial dynasty territory discussed and replied in surprise. Some violent people who were unhappy with the imperial dynasty started to support the Dragon Palace. More people were relieved that the Dragon Palace forbade the abyss type from hunting them. At the same time, he understood a little about the feud between the imperial dynasty and the Dragon Palace, as well as the abyss species. If the statement made by the Dragon Palace was true, then this disaster was caused by the imperial court itself. Great Protector, the Dragon Palace actually made a statement on the AI, trying to win people's hearts. Should we delete their information? At this moment, somewhere in the starry sky of the imperial dynasty, there were experts and disciples of the imperial dynasty in the vast space that stretched for billions of miles. An elder flew in front of the imperial court's Grand Protector and said with a dark expression, There's no need to pay attention to it. Deleting it will only make things worse. Our imperial court has stood in the imperial star region for more than 600 million years. As long as we return, these are all small matters. How can a mere Dragon Palace shake us in such a short time? Imperial Court Protector said with a cold expression. The protectors next to him also nodded slightly. They didn't care about the statement made by the Dragon Palace at all. They had a foundation of more than 600 million years in the imperial star region. As long as they could return, the information on the AI would immediately disappear. Some stupid things. After we return, we'll use the information on the AI to find them and send them to work on the Spirit Vein star. However, the protectors looked at the information on the AI and said with cold expressions, It's impossible. Although they didn't care about some dead fish and prawns, they were already in a bad mood. They decided to let the imperial court disciples deal with these people who talked nonsense on the AI after dealing with the Dragon Palace, and let them know the consequences. The AI was in an uproar, and the imperial dynasty disciples quickly retreated. The Dragon Palace was getting closer and closer to the center of the imperial court. After dozens of hours, they arrived in front of the imperial court island. The imperial court island was the largest island in the entire imperial star region. A peak divine king expert would need to fly for a month to fly from one side to the other. How vast was this? The entire imperial court island was a huge treasure trove. There were many grotto heavens and blessed lands on it. Below the island, there were countless spiritual stones and divine stones. The spiritual energy on the island was very rich. As the headquarters of a huge force in the imperial star region that had stood for more than 600 million years, how could their territory be ordinary? At this moment, there were not many people on the imperial court island, and it looked a little somber. Those who could stay on the imperial court island were all the core and elite disciples of the imperial court. There was no need to mention the inner island. Only experts at the God King realm and above could enter. Xiaolon gradually flew above the imperial court island and looked down at the entire place. This imperial court island can be ranked among the top in the entire resplendent starry sky. Tianjun's eyes shone as he looked down and said, Let's go to the center and check if there are any traps on the island. At the same time, we will take over their vast palace. The imperial court didn't destroy any of the treasures here. They might be thinking that they can take this place back in half a month. said Wang Xian with a smile as he swept his gaze across the area. It's impossible to take it back. Dragon King, let's go to the center first. Tianjin chuckled. With a jerk of his body, he looked towards the vast palace in the center. Qingyue, get Xiaolan and the rest to suppress the abyss species. Let's go and take a look, Wang Xian said to Lan Qingyue when they were near the inner island. All right. Lan Qingyue nodded and immediately gave instructions to Xiaolan. Let's go. Let's fly down. The headquarters of the imperial court is very beautiful and vast. Soon, Wang Xian led Lan Qingyue and the rest towards the vast palace. Mountain peaks, flowing water and white clouds. It was a beautiful sight. The entire inner island of the imperial court could be compared to a large planet. Wang Xian followed the fluctuation of spiritual energy and came to the grotto heavens and blessed lands of the imperial court to check out the treasures. The entire imperial court island was extremely huge. Even the vast palace in the center was huge. He spent 2 hours to go through all of them. The entire vast palace was majestic and magnificent. This was the most stunning palace Wang Xian had ever seen. Dragon King, there's a grotto heavens and blessed land here. It's located below the vast palace. At this moment, Tianjin's voice was heard. Chapter 2809. A heaven-defying battle won in Chou? Upon hearing Tianjin's words, Wang Xian flew to his side in a flash. Dragon King, it's here. This should be one of the most important cultivation grounds in the imperial court. With a swift movement, Tianjin brought him along and flew towards the back. At the back of the mountain was a continuous chain of mountain peaks, each of which had been built with palaces. This was a paradise, a real paradise. Dragon King, it's here. Soon, they arrived at a peak with the words Emperor God Palace written on it. There was an entrance at the bottom. When the two entered, a vast aura surged towards them. This is... Wang Xian stared at the bottom, his eyes flickering. Dragon King, this is the Void God Nation, a huge one. Tianjin said with a smile as he surveyed the surroundings. If I'm not wrong, this should be a second-order God Emperor Realm Void God Nation. The owner of this God Nation might have fallen a long time ago. The entire God Nation is located above a divine range. The entire divine range nourishes this God Nation. It's easier to break through in this God Nation. The cultivation speed is only slightly slower than the Dragon Palace. This God Nation is definitely a treasure. It might not be of much use to us, but to Aosia and the rest, it's an opportunity to break through. Dragon King, this is a pleasant surprise for us. Tianjin was slightly excited. A second-order God Emperor Realm Void God Nation might not be of much use to him, but he knew that it was extremely precious to Aosia and the devouring dragons. Aosia had devoured Night God Monarch's God Nation not long ago. However, a first-order God Emperor Realm Void God Nation was not enough to raise his strength. He was still lacking one. And this second-order Void God Emperor Divine Nation in front of him was equivalent to 10 first-order Void God Emperors. In other words, this God Nation could raise the strength of 5 devouring dragons to the first-order God Emperor realm. Have you checked inside? Is the God Nation intact? Wang Xian's eyes lit up as he asked. Dragon King, there are some flaws in the Holy Kingdom. This is a Void Holy Kingdom with light attributes. It is obvious that some of the treasures in the Holy Kingdom have been taken away. Even so, it should not be a problem for the 3 devouring dragons to increase their fighting power to Emperor God. Tianjin said with a smile. Alright, 3 is already a lot. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with excitement as he laughed heartily. Dragon King, I'm almost done checking out the entire central island. Next, I'm going to set up a large-scale array on each of the gods' meridians and spiritual meridians. Time is a little tight, so I'll set it up immediately. Tianjin immediately said. Alright, go ahead. Wang Xian nodded his head. With a swift move, he flew out immediately. Aosia, he shouted and called Aosia over. Knowing that there was a Void Second-Order God Emperor Realm God Nation here, Aosia was so excited that he charged into the God Nation and started devouring it. Xiao Xian, this imperial court is just too beautiful. There's even an ocean here, and there are many islands in the ocean. It's just too beautiful. After we occupy this place, We can move the main dragon palace here. Lan Qinghua flew over at this moment, pointed in a direction and spoke to Wang Xian. I'll go take a look. Wang Xian smiled and looked to the right. On the right there was an ocean. The ocean was not very big, spanning hundreds of millions of kilometers, and there were many islands on it. Every island was exceptionally beautiful. This place is really beautiful. We can rest and play here in the future. Xu Qing and the rest will be overjoyed if they know, Lan Qinghua said with a beaming face. After staying in the abyss for the past few years, this place was like heaven to her. All right, I'll build a dragon palace here, and ask them to come over immediately. Wang Xian chuckled as he dived into the ocean. It was easy to build a dragon palace, and it was done in no time. You can handle the matters here. I'll go get Xu Qing and the rest. Lan Qinghua said happily, and left through the teleportation array. Prime Minister Turtle. Wang Xian called Prime Minister Turtle over with a thought. Dragon King, I'm making a map of the islands in the Imperial Court. The map of the central island is done. Prime Minister Turtle came to the Dragon Palace and said with a smile. Get all the disciples to familiarize themselves with the central island. In the future, this will be the place where the disciples of the Dragon Palace will be active. After we have complete control over it, I'll move the main Dragon Palace here. Wang Xian nodded his head and continued. In the next few days, you have to check out the surrounding void and be prepared for the upcoming battle. Yes, Dragon King. I'll make the preparations now. Prime Minister Turtle nodded his head. Wang Xian stood up and flew out. He continued to explore the central island of the Imperial Court and the situation of the vast palace. Time passed day by day, and the Dragon Palace had a thorough understanding of the central island. Lan Qinghua and the other girls started to play around under the lead of the Emperor Star Maiden and her mother. Even the Emperor Star Maiden had only been to less than 1/20th of the central island of the Imperial Court. This made the girls very happy. The only pity was that the entire central island was deserted, and there were very few people. However, under the lead of Feng Yuan, the girls started to think about how to develop this place in the future. On the AI, everyone knew that the Dragon Palace and the Abyss species had entered the Imperial Court Island. Everyone was relieved that the Abyss species didn't start a riot. They weren't sure what the Dragon Palace was doing on the Imperial Court Island. However, some people guessed that the Dragon Palace might be preparing to fight to the death with the Imperial Court and the Witchcraft Alliance on the Imperial Court Island. This made many people discuss the upcoming battle. Would the Dragon Palace be annihilated by the Imperial Court and the Witchcraft Alliance? Many people were more optimistic about the Imperial Court and the Witchcraft Alliance. More accurately, they were optimistic about the Witchcraft Alliance. The Witchcraft Alliance had been ranked top 3 among the 7 major forces in the resplendent starry sky tens of millions of years ago. Because of the Battle of Emperor's Fall, their ranking had dropped. Even so, they were still stronger than the Imperial Court and were still incomparably terrifying. They could annihilate the Sky Array God Emperor tens of millions of years ago. Now that the Sky Array God Emperor hadn't recovered to his peak, they could annihilate him even more. The entire Imperial Star Domain was paying attention to the war that was going to happen in half a month. Currently, no one was cursing the Dragon Palace on the AI, whether it was the people in other parts of the Imperial Star Domain or the people in the Imperial Court territory. They all understood that this was a feud between the Imperial Court and the Dragon Palace. It had nothing to do with them. The Dragon Palace hadn't harmed them, and the Imperial Court had abandoned them. They naturally wouldn't be biased. As far as they were concerned, no matter who won or lost, it wouldn't affect them much. Chapter 28:10. A heaven-defying battle. 2-inch set up camp in this void. In the north of the Imperial Court, in the vast void, there was an incomparably huge team that stretched for billions of kilometers. An order came from the front, and everyone immediately stopped. At the front, there was a palace about 100 kilometers wide. At this moment, the palace was glowing. In the center of the palace, the 3 god emperors of the Imperial Court stood there. In front of them, there were 6 figures. Beside them, there were dozens of people standing respectfully behind them. The figures in front of the three god emperors were not real. This group of figures was currently in the distant Sky Shaman region. We have confirmed that that is the Sky Array God Emperor. The 6 figures in front of them were dressed in the same black robes. On their chests, there was a huge shaman character. At this moment, the 6 figures had ugly expressions on their faces. They stood there awkwardly. The Sky Array God Emperor was not dead yet. When this news reached them, their heads were buzzing, and their expressions were ugly. Especially the middle-aged man on the left. His expression was even uglier. Back then, Sky Array was the pinnacle existence in the Sky Shaman region. He was not a member of the Shaman Association, but he could fight against the entire association alone. Sky Array and the Shaman Association's path was the same. Becoming a shaman. His relationship with the Shaman Association was not bad. On the contrary, it was very good. The existence of Sky Array was also the reason why the Shaman Association was so strong among the other factions in the bright starry sky. Later, because they knew that the Sky Array God Emperor had obtained treasures related to shamans in the 8 Desolates, they could not help but be greedy. That battle was too great a loss to the Shaman Association. So much so that they had not fully recovered even now. Now that they knew that Sky Array was still alive, they felt their scalps go numb. Given their grudges, a huge battle was unavoidable. But they heaved a sigh of relief. Sky Array God Emperor had not recovered to his peak. We will naturally not deceive everyone from the Sorcerer Union. Sorcerer, we are enemies with the Sky Array God Emperor. He is currently staying within a power of the Dragon Palace, colluding with the Abyss species within the Abyss and the Dragon Palace. Sky Array, Dragon Palace's Dragon King, and Dragon Queen of the Dragon Palace's 2 giant beast battle pets, are all at the God Emperor level. One of them has the strength of a second-order God Emperor realm beast. Other than them, there are 2 other Abyss God Emperor realm beasts. Also, that Sky Array God Emperor is very strange. Based on our guess, those 3 avatars are the Sky Array God Emperor. As the Emperor Lord spoke, he waved his arm and 3 figures appeared. The 5 elements Sky Array, the Wind Lightning Sky Array, and the Darkness Light Sky Array. This is, at the center, the Shaman Master of the Shaman Association. The old man who called himself Shaman stared at the figures of the 3 Sky Array God Emperors. His eyes were wide open, and his expression was constantly changing. That's a dragon's head, a dragon's head, a dragon's head that's exactly the same as a divine dragon's head. What kind of great opportunity did this sky formation obtain? Legend has it that the metal ancestor of Shaman steps on 2 golden dragons, the wood ancestor of Shaman steps on 2 azure dragons, and the fire ancestor of Shaman steps on 2 fire dragons. Divine dragon phenomenon, ancestral shaman special characteristic? A god emperor of the Shaman Association could not help but roar. Divine dragon phenomenon, ancestral shaman special characteristic. The dozens of people behind him raised their heads and stared blankly. Emperor Lord, 7 days later, we will reach the Imperial Star Domain. At that time, we will exterminate them. Use all the strength of the Shaman Association. The shaman of the Shaman Association was breathing slightly hurried as he spoke. All right. Now that we have been forced into the boundless void by the Dragon Palace, we should be able to meet up in 5 days. The Emperor Lord immediately said. All right, we will go and prepare immediately. The shaman nodded his head heavily. With a wave of his arm, their figures disappeared. Emperor Lord, the Shaman Association is very wary of the Sky Array God Emperor. As their figures disappeared, an Imperial Court God Emperor beside the Emperor Lord revealed a smile. The Sky Array God Emperor is too strong. Back then, he swept across the 8 desolates of the Sky Sorcerer region. Moreover, the Sky Array God Emperor seems to have obtained some kind of opportunity. His head and arms are in the shape of a divine dragon. Legend has it that a few ancestral sorcerers have the divine dragon phenomenon. The Emperor Lord's eyes flickered as he spoke. Let's wait here quietly. The Shaman Association will arrive in 5 days. 7 days later, we will exterminate the Dragon Palace and the rest. He mumbled as killing intent flashed in his eyes. Hong hong hong. Time passed quietly. At the bottom of a mountain range in the Imperial Court, waves of horrifying aura were surging towards the surroundings. Incomparably excited roars could be heard from a cave, following which, 3 humongous creatures emerged from the cave. They had incomparably sharp claws, a hideous head, and a ferocious aura. Wuxia and the rest had broken through. Xiao Xian. That place is the cultivation ground that I entered after becoming the princess. I broke through to the God King realm there. The Emperor Star Princess floated in the sky with a shocked expression as she spoke to Wang Xian. That place is indeed a treasure land. Wang Xian smiled faintly as he looked at Wuxia and the rest. Dragon King. Wuxia and the others flew over, their faces filled with excitement and respect. Go back to the Dragon Palace and get used to it. Wang Xian smiled as he spoke to them. Yes, Dragon King. Wuxia nodded his head and flew towards the Dragon Palace immediately. Xiao Xian, Roving Heavens and the rest of the Dragon Palace should be almost done with their advancement, right? Lan Qinghua stood at the side and asked Wang Xian. Yes, soon. They should be done by tomorrow. After tomorrow, the people from the Imperial Court and the Shaman Association should be arriving soon. Wang Xian squinted his eyes as he spoke coldly. As long as we can withstand their attacks, this starry sky will be ours. Hehe. The people from the Imperial Star Domain were exceptionally excited. She was born here and had deep feelings for this place. Moreover, once the Dragon Palace took control of this place, her status as the Emperor Star Princess would be incomparable to that of the previous princess. Given her relationship with the Dragon King and Dragon Queen, the celestial emperors of the Dragon Palace were also very polite to her. In the future, she would be the real Missy of the Imperial Star Domain. At that time, she could hold a concert with Yin Xian and go sightseeing. How great would that be? Let's go back to the Dragon Palace. Let's get ready. Wang Xian patted the Emperor Star Princess on her head and flew towards the Dragon Palace with a smile. Are we going to start something else? Lan Qinghua looked at the Emperor Star Princess before turning to the girls beside her and asked with a smile. Something like that. Tang Yinxian chuckled at the side. What are you guys talking about? The Emperor Star Princess looked at Lan Qinghua and Tang Yinxian in confusion. Nothing. Let's go, my benefactor goddess. Lan Qinghua smiled as she held the Emperor Star Princess's arm and said, the Emperor Star Princess was the benefactor of her and Lingxiu. If not for her, they would have died in the pursuit. Therefore, they were on good terms with the Emperor Star Princess. Today 10 a.m. Chapter 28:11. Greetings, Dragon King. Greetings, Dragon King. In the main Dragon Palace in the depths of the abyss, the leaders of the Dragon Palace stood respectfully in front. Among them, the ones with the strongest auras were Tianjun, Roving Heavens Ao Qi, Ao Yao, Ao Xingmu, Ba Qi, Mo Sha, and the 3 devouring dragons. They were already God Emperor level existences. 1 Sky Array Master was equivalent to 3 Sky Arrays, including Roving Demon and the other 9, as well as Wang Xian. There were a total of 13 Sky Arrays. Including Xiao Lan, there were a total of 15 of them. 15 Void God Emperors. This was all the power of the Dragon Palace. This strength far exceeded the imperial dynasty of the past. The Dragon Palace was not afraid, even if they had to fight against the Wizard Association alone. The final battle is about to begin. We cannot lose this battle. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the members of the Dragon Palace and spoke with a solemn expression. It's Dragon King. The group of Dragon Palace members immediately roared. Next, let's discuss the war, said Wang Xian. Dragon King, based on the current situation, we have a 60% chance of winning this battle. The Heavenly Array has been set up, and after testing, it can resist against 8 First-Order God Emperors. Activate the formations. Trapping Formation, Illusory Formation, and Defensive Formation. These should be able to trap the 8 God Emperors completely. As for the Imperial Court Witchcraft Union, a single God Emperor is equivalent to 2. Other than the Shaman from the Witchcraft Union, the Sky Array can restrain all of them. 2 Abyss-type God Emperors can restrain 2 God Emperors from the Imperial Court. We only need to deal with 2 Second-Order God Emperors from the Void God Emperor realm and the Shaman. Shaman Little Lan can deal with them. As for the Emperor Lords, we need to deal with them. The 10 God Emperors from our Dragon Palace can definitely deal with the Emperor Lord of the Imperial Court. We can even spare a God Emperor to go against some special and powerful divine weapons of the Imperial Court and the Shaman Association. Our side's Divine Flame Star's eruption is comparable to a First Order God Emperor realm expert. It shouldn't be a problem for us to defend, Prime Minister Turtle said confidently. After all, defense and offense were two different concepts. In addition, there were countless abyss species. This was a force that could not be underestimated. Before the Great War starts, the Devil Fiend Orochi will be very useful, and can even have a great influence. Tianjun looked at the 8-branched Devil Fiend and said, "Kakik, next up everyone, let's witness the might of our Venomhorn Dragon." Orochi smiled and raised his head slightly. "Report, Dragon King." At this moment, Roving Lobster shouted from outside the Dragon King Hall, and rushed in immediately. Dragon King, Spike Dragon has sent news that the people of the Imperial Court and the Witchcraft Association have already met up. They should be heading towards us soon. Roving Lobster reported. Have they already left? Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he stood up slowly. Dragon King, since they are coming this way, let's get ready to move as well. Yamada no Devil Fiend immediately said. Alright, go and get ready. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and nodded. Is this a member of the Wizard Association? Hiss, they have such a terrifying aura. Are the few at the very front giant star beasts? What a powerful aura. The row at the very front all ride extremely powerful God King war beasts. There must be 100,000 of them, right? How powerful. The Shaman Society controls a powerful trading company like the Shaman Beast Pavilion. Even after the Battle of Emperor's Fall, they are still extremely terrifying. At this moment, everyone in the Imperial Dynasty looked towards the north in unison. In the front row, 9 flags floated high in the starry sky. 9 flags, 9 colors, corresponding to 9 different attributes. There was only one word on the flags, Shaman. In the front row, many powerful warriors were riding on battle pets at the God King realm. In the center were 2 huge elephants. 2 golden elephants. The light they emitted contained a terrifying might. Each elephant was dozens of kilometers long. Such a size meant that they were giant star beasts. Behind the elephants were 6 thrones, each of which was occupied by an old man or a middle-aged man. They weren't shrouded in radiance and wore ordinary black clothes with the word shaman written on them. One could tell that they were loyal followers of Shaman. And behind the 6 divine thrones there was an army. This army looked extremely strange, and had the wings of a bird. Human-headed beast deity, mechanical arms, long sharp tails, a third eye, and even the entire arm was an eye. Hold on. There were all sorts of strange people. They were shamans who were pursuing great power, and hadn't even started. This was the famous shaman army of the Shaman Society. Beside the shaman army were figures in black robes. There weren't many of them, only a few tens of thousands. But they were the dark army that the Sky Shaman region feared. They were also known as the Cursed and the Poisoned. There weren't many of them, only about 400,000. Including the war beasts, there were 500,000. All of them were God King level existences. They were the absolute core of the Shaman Society. Shaman. The Sovereign Lord scanned the Shaman Society and was slightly shocked. The Shaman Society was still so terrifying after the Battle of Emperor's Fall. Sovereign Lord. The shaman in the center of the throne stood up slowly and scanned the Imperial Court. Head over directly, he said calmly. Should we discuss this? The Sovereign Lord asked after a moment's hesitation. Emperor Lord, please come over. Imperial Dynasty, please lead the way. The shaman said expressionlessly after a moment's thought. All right, the Sovereign Lord, and the others nodded and flew over to the Shaman Society. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That was what they were now. The Shaman Society is so strong. I don't see anyone weaker than Second Order Immortal God King. The strongest sorcerer army and dark army of the Sorcerer Association are here. 6 Emperor gods are here. 6. Ha ha ha. Every God Emperor of the Shaman Society is a powerful formation master. They are experts that can take on 2 at the same time. 6 God Emperors of the Shaman Society is equivalent to 12 God Emperors. Our Imperial Court and the Shaman Society can easily wipe out the Dragon Palace. We can even kill all the Abyss creatures. The experts and disciples of the Imperial Court glanced at the members of the Witchcraft Union. Sensing their powerful aura, they revealed excited expressions. This time, they would make the Dragon Palace pay a heavy price. They would make them wish they were dead. Kill them all. The Grand Protector of the Imperial Court was also excited. He raised his arm and roared at the disciples. Kill them all. The disciples of the Imperial Court, who had been sulking for days, roared with murderous intent. Countless people flew towards the island of the Imperial Court in a mighty manner. The Imperial Court's island was also at the center of the Imperial Court. As they headed towards the center, they would definitely come across planets with life. Such a large group naturally attracted the attention of the humans on the planets behind the Imperial Court's territory. On the planets, the people looked at the Imperial Court's group in shock. Especially when they saw the Shaman Society's group at the back, their jaws dropped. Chapter 28:12. A heaven-defying battle 4-inch, everyone from the Imperial Dynasty is back. The experts from the Witchcraft Alliance are here too. Those two golden elephants are dozens of kilometers long. They are so terrifying. The Imperial Dynasty and the Witchcraft Alliance are working together. See, 2 of the 7 factions are working together. Dragon Palace is in trouble. Are the Dragon Palace and the Abyssal species still on the Imperial Court Island? Now that the Imperial Dynasty and Witchcraft Alliance are here, they are probably finished. The war is about to break out again. But this time, it will probably be the last battle. Dragon Palace is probably finished. The Witchcraft Alliance has sent 6 God Emperors. The citizens of the life planets in the north of the Imperial Star region discussed in shock when they saw the Imperial Dynasty and Witchcraft Alliance meet up and fly towards the Imperial Dynasty Island. On the brain, everyone was similarly filled with curiosity and amazement towards this final battle. Everyone was talking about it. They understood the Witchcraft Alliance a little. To be able to open a Shaman Beast Pavilion near the Imperial Dynasty, one could imagine their strength and foundation. 2 factions surrounded Dragon Palace. This battle caught the attention of the entire world. Haha, Dragon Palace die. Dragon King. All disciples of Dragon Palace. All factions related to Dragon Palace. Wait for the judgment of the Imperial Dynasty. At this moment, the elite core disciples of the Imperial Dynasty were in high spirits. While they were rushing, they posted information on the artificial brain. They couldn't hide the excitement on their faces. Half a month ago, they had left the Imperial Dynasty Center Island in shame. Today, they were going to avenge themselves. The enormous group advanced quickly. Everyone was filled with fighting spirit. At the back, the members of the Witchcraft Alliance were filled with killing intent. Sky Formation, Dragon King, 2 giant space beasts, 2 God Emperors and Abyss species. It shouldn't be a problem. On the throne behind the golden elephants, the shaman heard the message from the Emperor Lord and said calmly, "Shaman, even if he hasn't recovered to his peak, we can't underestimate him. He is the Sky Formation God Emperor." On the left, the only middle-aged Witchcraft Alliance God Emperor said with a bitter expression, "Of course. After all, he is the Sky Formation God Emperor. We have to capture him alive." The shaman's eyes flashed as he clenched his fists and said, "If I don't have the confidence to capture it alive, I must completely destroy it. Completely destroy it." When the middle-aged man heard his words, he lost control and roared in a low voice. His eyes were bloodshot. "Rest assured," the Magus said calmly, "Son of Heaven, there's no need to be so afraid. We shamans seek to defy the heavens and change our fate. We're not afraid of anyone. No matter how strong the Sky Array God Emperor is, he hasn't recovered to his peak yet." An Emperor God from Chengwu Association smiled and said to him. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth and closed his eyes slightly. His expression gradually became serious. His name was Tianzi. This name was given by Tianjun, his master. Son of Heaven, such a name. How arrogant and domineering was this? Everyone fell silent as they stared into the distance, quietly waiting for the time to come. "This won't be easy, brother. A bunch of trash is in front, not behind. If we rush over now, we'll be noticed. On the 2 trees in the distance, a conversation could be heard. Even if it's not easy, we still have to do it. Let's head to the front to take a look at the imperial court and hide on some plants or living beings. When the time comes, we'll be able to parasitize them, and they won't notice us. All right, let's go. Behind the 2 trees, pitch-black creatures with huge mouths emerged from the trees. They moved and disappeared instantly. These 2 were naturally Orochi and Demon Fiend. Dragon King, they're estimated to reach us in 5 hours. Prime Minister Turtle said to Wang Xian a few hours later, above the vast palace of the imperial court. They're turning the tables. We're in charge of defense while they're in charge of offense. Wang Xian looked around and revealed a smile. Haha, long time no see, old friends. We'll meet again soon. I wonder if they miss me. I wonder if that disciple of mine is here. Tianjin laughed heartily at the side with a carefree look on his face. A master who's screwed over by his disciple would only appear in novels. Lan Qinghua joked at the side. Maybe I was a little old and muddle-headed back then. Tianjin chuckled. Now that we've joined the Dragon Palace, it'll be easy for us to take revenge. We'll just greet them this time, and the next time, we'll annihilate them. All the best. The Dragon Palace is the strongest. Emperor Star Princess clenched her fist and shouted with anticipation. Haha, great. All disciples of the Dragon Palace, prepare for battle in a few hours. This time, we'll be in charge of defense. Wang Xian laughed heartily as he gave the order to everyone. Yes. The members of the Dragon Palace answered loudly. Not far away, roars could be heard. 2 emperor gods of the abyss species looked over with fear in their eyes. There were more than a dozen of them who were at the same level as them. Fortunately, they were in an alliance. Otherwise, they would be dead meat. They roared and told their subordinates to behave themselves. Reporting to the Dragon King, experts from the Lunar Sect, Dragon Python Group, Beichuan Sect, and Ancient God Dynasty are rushing over with their disciples. They said they want to fight alongside the Dragon Palace. At this time, a subordinate reported from behind. Oh, Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. With a swift move, he flew towards the back. Soon he saw experts from the Lunar Sect, Dragon Python Group, Beichuan Sect, and Ancient God Dynasty standing there with their disciples. All of them looked uneasy as they gripped their weapons tightly. The 4 major forces had a total of 10 million people. They could be considered the absolute core of the 4 major forces. Greetings, Dragon King. When the experts saw Wang Xian flying over, they greeted him respectfully. You're welcome. Wang Xian landed in front of them and said with a smile. Dragon King, I heard that experts from the Imperial Court and the Witch Association will be arriving soon. The 4 of us are on the same side as the Dragon King. We can only survive if the Dragon Palace survives. Therefore, we want to contribute our strength to the upcoming war. Although the strength of the 4 major forces is insignificant. Old Ancestor Yu gritted his teeth and said to Wang Xian, now that the Dragon Palace and the Imperial Court had become mortal enemies, the 4 major forces would definitely be annihilated once the Dragon Palace was annihilated. As for escaping, with the strength of the Imperial Court, where could they escape to? Once the Dragon Palace was in trouble, they would definitely be in trouble. Therefore, they might as well fight alongside the Dragon Palace. Even if they were to die together, the Dragon King would not forget them if there was a chance of survival. There's no need to help. You guys can just watch the battle from the back later. Wang Xian swept his gaze across them. He was rather impressed that the 4 major forces could rush over. Chapter 28:13. No matter what, we have decided to stand with the Dragon Palace in this battle. Old Ancestor Yu said to Wang Xian solemnly. Stand with the Dragon Palace. The members of the 4 major forces bellowed with flushed faces. Wang Xian smiled faintly. Come and watch the battle. As he spoke, his body moved and he flew forward. The powerhouses of the Moon Sect looked at each other and immediately led their disciples to follow behind. Beishuang, go and receive our friends. When Wang Xian came to the front, he shouted at the group of girls. Yes, master. Beishuang nodded. She looked at her sect and the other 3 major forces and went to receive them with a smile. The reborn Bei Shuang had the strength of a level 9 immortal god king, after the baptism of the dragon transformation pool. It was a pity that she did not evolve into an ice dragon this time. If she wanted to evolve into an ice dragon, she would have to wait for opportunities in the future. Bei Shuang. Xiao Shuang, didn't you already? Ice goddess? The ice goddess is still alive? The experts from Moon Sect and Beichuan Sect widened their eyes in disbelief when they saw Bei Shuang. Master saved me with a treasure. Bei Shuang looked at them and said with a smile. Everyone shuddered when they heard their words. She was saved. They had seen Bei Shuang being killed by Emperor Night God with their own eyes. When a god emperor killed a person, it was impossible for him to leave any chance of survival. In other words, the Dragon King had revived the dead Bei Shuang. What kind of treasure would be able to do that? It's great that you're fine. Beichuan sect leader and the rest grabbed Bei Shuang's arm and said excitedly. Sect leader, Laozu, and other Laozu, you guys can just watch the battle from here. Bei Shuang said to them as she looked ahead. Xiao Shuang, can the Dragon King and the rest fend off the Imperial Court and which alliance? Why don't they escape into the abyss? That way, they will have a greater advantage in the abyss battlefield. Beichuan sect leader hesitated for a moment before asking. Don't worry, sect leader. We won't lose this battle. Bei Shuang said confidently. Won't lose? Hearing this, the eyes of all the disciples from the four forces flickered. Did the Dragon Palace have the confidence to stop the Imperial Court and Shaman Association? This. If he could really withstand it, it would be a heaven-defying act. I hope the Dragon Palace can hold on. Once the Dragon Palace is destroyed, we will be killed too. Everyone prayed in their hearts. Time slowly passed. Countless people were still discussing on the brain, but they didn't know the specifics. Only the elite core disciples of the Imperial Dynasty would occasionally post some news on the AI, saying that the Dragon Palace was about to be wiped out. Numerous people discussed. They were sure that the Imperial Dynasty and Shaman Guild could easily wipe out the Dragon Palace. After all, based on the strength displayed by both parties, the difference between the Dragon Palace and the two major forces was simply too great. Dragon King, the Devil 8 branches have succeeded. Time ticked by. After 4 hours, Prime Minister Turtle received a piece of news and reported it to Wang Xian. Wang Xian revealed a smile. This was good news. The heaven-defying battle is about to begin. An hour later, Wang Xian kept the AI, squinted his eyes and stared ahead. In front of them, the huge team slowly appeared in their line of sight. The team had already changed. At the forefront were two humongous golden elephants. The elephants were glowing brightly and were exceptionally eye-catching in the void. Such a scene looked like an emperor on an inspection tour. In the middle were the 300,000 Divine King experts of the Shaman Guild, the famous Dark Army. On the left and right were the hundreds of billions of experts and disciples of the Imperial Court. All of them were staring ahead with murderous intent. The Dragon King didn't escape. Is he looking down on us? Tisk, I'd like to see how the Dragon Palace is going to stop us. At this moment, the disciples of the Imperial Court also saw the army of the Dragon Palace, which consisted of countless abyss species, waiting for them in the sky above the Imperial Court Island. The disciples and experts of the Imperial Court roared in surprise. Stop. In the sky above the Imperial Court Island, the Emperor stared ahead and ordered Wang Xian and the rest. The disciples of the Imperial Court stopped immediately, and so did the experts of the Shaman Guild. They faced each other from afar. A suffocating aura spread to the surroundings. Tianjin, you shouldn't be alive. The shaman slowly stood up from his throne and stared at the heavenly formation expressionlessly. Since I'm still alive, all of you will die soon. Tianjin stared at him and revealed a faint smile. Hee. I didn't expect my disciple to advance to the Emperor God realm. He looked to the side and said calmly to the middle-aged Emperor God Tianzi. You shouldn't be alive. The Emperor looked at Tianjin with fear in his eyes as he gritted his teeth and bellowed. Ha, it's a pity that I Tianjin am still alive. Tianjin laughed out loud. I won't be able to live for long either. Hee. The sorcerer sensed the aura from Tianjin and smiled faintly. Our positions are reversed. You guys attack, and we'll defend. Wang Xian lifted his head slightly and said, Dragon King, I don't know where you got the courage to wait for us here, but I'll definitely take your head today. The Emperor Lord clenched his fist, and a radiant staff appeared in his hand. His booming voice was filled with murderous intent. I'm afraid you guys aren't qualified. Wang Xian looked over and said coldly, Come and attack. Let's see what you think of my array that integrates cultivation techniques into one. Let me see if your sorcerer's guild has improved. And my dear disciple, let me see how strong you are now. Tianjin squinted his eyes and said coldly. He shook his body and split into two doppelgangers. Wang. The island in the center of the imperial court trembled slightly and emitted a majestic aura. Given our strength, what does the Dragon Palace have to fight with us? The Emperor Lord stared at Tianjin and the rest and bellowed furiously. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A terrifying sound came from his body, and a mighty aura rushed down from above. Let's fight with the strength of the Dragon Palace. Ha 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 today. Let the Dragon Palace have a taste of the strength of two elite forces in the bedazzling starry sky. Wang Xian laughed and charged towards the sky with the aura of an emperor god. At the side, roving Qitian, roving crab and the rest let out a roar. Waves of aura surged into the sky. 1, 2, 3, 8. Chapter 28:14. Chapter 28:20. Birth of a new king 1 inch woo woo woo. Woo woo woo. 9-10. Ha ha ha. Tianjin laughed out loud, and his body split into three. Each of them gave off the aura of an emperor god. 11, 12, 13. At the side, the two emperor god abyss species felt the strong aura and roared. Similarly, a primal aura surged towards the surroundings. Along with the two emperor god abyss species, there were a total of 15 emperor gods. 15 terrifying auras shot into the clouds. Terrifying energy stirred in the sky above the Imperial Court Island. This scene stunned everyone in the surroundings. This is Emperor Gods, all of them are Emperor Gods. SSS, this is the power of Dragon Palace? A dozen Emperor Gods, a total of a dozen. This is too strong. No wonder Dragon Palace is confident in defending against the combined attack of Imperial Court and Witchcraft Guild. Ha ha ha, that's great, that's great. At the back, members of Crescent Sect, Dragon Python Group, Beichuan Sect, Ancient God Dynasty, and the other forces stared with their eyes wide open when they saw the sudden burst of power from Dragon Palace. They were filled with shock and disbelief. 13 Emperor Gods. How many experts did Dragon Palace have in the previous Battle of the Abyss? 4. Along with Xiaolan, there were 6. Now there were a total of 13. How many Emperor Gods did Imperial Court have? Only 3 at the moment. That was 4 times the number of Imperial Court members. With such terrifying power, Dragon Palace could easily wipe out Imperial Court. They could even wipe out Witchcraft Guild. How is that possible? When the Emperor Lord, the 2 Emperor Gods, and all the experts and disciples of Imperial Court saw that, all of them were in disbelief. There were a total of 15 Emperor Gods. A total of 15. This power had exceeded their expectations. To them, no matter how strong Dragon Palace was, and how many trump cards it had, 1 or 2 more Emperor Gods would be shocking enough. Now there were a total of a dozen. This caused their expressions to be very interesting, and they kept changing there. How did this happen? How can Dragon Palace be so strong? This is impossible. The experts and disciples of Imperial Dynasty stared in disbelief, and their bodies trembled. The power of the Dragon Palace terrified them. As expected of the heavenly array, since it dares to wait for us here, it means that it has already made preparations. At the center, the sorcerer's expression changed when he saw this. He stood up slowly and stared at the group of experts. Haha, I'm afraid that your strength is not enough. A painting appeared in front of him. The painting flickered with light and contained a mystical power. There were many stars on it like a star chart. This was the formation diagram Purgatory World. Then let's give it a try. Tianjin stared at the Purgatory World with a cold glint in his eyes. Hee, you are no match for me. The only troublesome thing is that giant beast, but I will refine it. The sorcerer stared at Little Blue, his eyes gleaming. During this period of time, he had also learned a little about what had happened in the imperial court of the Imperial Star region. He had also heard of this giant beast. This was the start of the Imperial Dynasty's disaster. At the same time, this giant beast was a really terrifying existence. He was very curious about how it had become a giant in just a few years. Haha, when I was at my peak, you didn't dare to be so arrogant in front of me. Now you are a villain who has achieved success. When Tianjun heard the sorcerer's words, his face was full of mockery. I can destroy you once in the past. Now, I can destroy you again. The sorcerer roared coldly. The formation diagram of the purgatory world in the sky suddenly expanded and shrouded the void. The entire void underwent a huge change because of the formation diagram. You talk too much nonsense, Little Blue. Wang Xian stared at the sorcerer and immediately ordered Little Blue. Woo-woo. The terrifying power on Little Blue trembled slightly, and the surrounding space collapsed instantly. Its entire body drifted between the void crack in reality, and instantly rushed to the front of the purgatory world. Ka-ka-ka. The void in front of the purgatory world let out a cracking sound, and the formation diagram shook violently. Kill. Seeing this, the sorcerer's expression changed slightly as he roared. Ha ha ha, kill, kill, kill. Sorcerer, hold that beast back and leave the rest to me. Without that gigantic beast, this sovereign lord is invincible. Seeing Little Blue rushing towards the sorcerer, the Emperor Lord revealed a hideous expression. Although the Emperor Court and Witch Society had fewer God Emperors than the Dragon Palace, the Emperor Lord and the sorcerer were both second-order God Emperors. As long as the sorcerer could completely restrain that beast, he would be invincible. All disciples kill. Kill everyone from the Dragon Palace. One of the Emperor Court God Emperors ordered sternly. Kill. The rest of the disciples let out ferocious roars filled with killing intent. Although the Dragon Palace had many God Kings, they had 2 second-order God Emperors. Moreover, the God Emperors of the Witch Society were not ordinary God Emperors. Moreover, they had the 400,000-strong army of the Witch Society. Invincible? Emperor Court God, let the Dragon Palace have a taste of your strength. Wang Xian stared at the Emperor Lord with a cold expression. He moved. Behind him, Roving Heavens and the rest of the 7 God Emperors immediately followed behind Wang Xian. Are you looking down on us? The other 2 God Emperors from the Imperial Court stared at Wang Xian, and the rest with killing intent. However, at this moment, 2 God Emperor-level Abyss demons moved and attacked the 2 Emperor Court God Emperors. Let's attack the Sky Formation. The 5 God Emperors from the Witch Society locked their blood-red eyes on the Sky Formation and roared. The 5 of them moved and charged towards the Sky Formation. Woo-woo. Xiaozhai moved and attacked one of the God Emperors from the Witch Society. Wu Shan, restrain that beast. Leave the Sky Formation to us. One of the God Emperors from the Witch Society roared. The 4 of them attacked the Sky Formation. Ha ha ha. I could take on the entire Witch Society alone thousands of years ago. Now, it's a piece of cake for me to deal with the 4 of you. The 3 bodies of the Sky Formation immediately separated and stood in 3 different directions. 9 Gods Formation activate. He roared furiously. Each of the divine dragon heads on his body gave off a ray of light that surged towards the sky and the ground. A formation that connected heaven and earth enveloped the center of the Imperial Court Island. The vast formation gave off terrifying divine might. Although your shaman association has one more emperor god than I expected, my traitor disciple looks a little weak. Today, I shall guide you again. Sky Formation roared coldly. Chapter 28:15. Chapter 28:21. Birth of a New King 2111. The battle began and the array was activated. The 9 Gods Formation was a large-scale offensive and defensive formation that was built on the basis of 9 attributes. The entire array had 9 powerful attributes. Each of the 9 attributes could go against one Emperor God. However, to really hold them back, it would be safer to go against 8. In that case, let me see just how much of my master's strength is left. The Emperor roared with a dark face. With a wave of his arm, the array was formed. Beside him, the other 3 experts from the Witch Alliance waved their arms and threw out array compasses towards the 9 gods' array. Rumble, rumble, rumble. At this moment, terrifying collisions were heard from above. Dragon King, you want to pin me down with just 8 First Order Emperor God Realm experts? Wishful thinking. I'll slaughter all of you today. In the sky, the Emperor Lord held the Scepter of Radiance in his hand. A huge pair of radiant wings propped up the void. Countless judgment spears flew towards Wang Xian and the rest. Block! In an instant, Wang Xian and the rest were shocked. Only 10 Emperor gods from Dragon Palace could withstand the Emperor Lord. Now the 8 of them had to go all out. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The 5 elements grindstone appeared in front of Wang Xian. With the 5 elements revolving, an earth shield appeared in front of him. Roving heavens, roving demon, roving Xingmu, roving crab, and the rest also released their defenses and stacked them on top of the earth shield. Bam, bam, bam. Sounds of collisions rang out one after another, and the layers of defenses quickly collapsed. Fortunately, Wang Xian and the rest were able to withstand the Emperor Lord's defense. Dragon King, this won't do. We need 10 Emperor gods to be able to withstand it. Roving Heavens said with a bitter expression. Buy them a few seconds. Wang Xian growled. Galactic Beast, Boulder Golden Elephant attack. Sorcerer Army attack. Dark Army attack. Sorcerer Beast Army attack. At this moment, the order to attack sounded from below. The army of the witches began to move. All disciples of the Imperial Court attack. The 2 guardians of the Imperial Court roared and gave the same order to attack. All disciples of Dragon Palace, defend with all your might. Below, when Prime Minister Turtle saw the incoming army, he bellowed with a solemn expression. At the very front, a group of Imperial dragons came to the front and formed an indestructible defense. Woo woo woo. In the sky, the God Emperor's Abyss species and Lil Blue ordered the Abyss species to defend with all their might. Compared to offense, defense was much easier. Ha ha ha, you want to defend? Do you think the dozen Emperor gods in the Dragon Palace can withstand our attack? Wishful thinking die. The first protector of the Imperial Court hollered with a murderous look. His body flashed and he waved his arm, causing the god net to appear in front of him. Destroy them, he roared with a ferocious expression. At the side, the 2 Imperial Court protectors took out the Heaven and Earth net. The Heaven net, Earth net, and Divine net were supreme treasures that could fight against 2 Void God Emperors. Oh no, the Dragon Palace is in danger. The Dragon King and the rest are being suppressed by the Emperor Lord of the Imperial Court. The battle prowess of those below the God Emperor level is much weaker. After all, it is the Imperial Court and Witchcraft Society. Both of them have existed for hundreds of millions of years, and their foundations are unfathomable. At the back, Kitagawa Munoyu and the other experts and disciples of the various forces saw this, and their faces turned pale. Although the Dragon Palace had many Emperor gods, in terms of overall strength, the Imperial Court and Witchcraft Society were clearly stronger. In terms of battle prowess of those below the God Emperor level, the Dragon Palace was much weaker. Kill. In front, countless Imperial Court disciples and Witchcraft Society experts moved. Below, a figure suddenly charged towards the first protector of the Imperial Court, who was controlling the god net. The first protector of the Imperial Court sensed a disciple charging towards him, and he was slightly stunned. Sensing the disciple's strength and aura, he frowned slightly. Pooh. But at this moment, the disciple's body suddenly exploded. A pitch-black figure flew towards him at a terrifying speed. This caused his expression to change drastically. Pooh. But the black figure was simply too fast. In the next moment, it entered his body. The first protector of the Imperial Court didn't react at all. His eyes turned black, and he was completely stunned. The sudden scene caused the 2 protectors who were controlling the nets of heaven and earth to be aghast. First protector. They shouted at the first protector warily. Huff huff, I'm fine. The first protector's eyes regained clarity as he shook his head and replied immediately. Kill, destroy the Dragon Palace. Then, he continued to shout with a murderous look. The 2 protectors controlling the heaven and earth net frowned, as they sensed the first protector's aura, and thought of the black figure just now. What was going on? However, the war had already broken out, and there was no time for them to think too much. The god net had already covered the entire void. The two of them waved their arms and flew towards the first protector. Poo-pee-you. However, just as they came to the first protector's side, two pitch-black claws came out of the first protector's body. Before they could react, they widened their eyes and looked at the first protector in shock as they spat out fresh blood. However, the first protector no longer had any signs of life. Eee! An eerie voice came from the first protector's body. As his body split apart, a pitch-black figure moved and kept the heaven, earth god net and the three corpses. Oh no, the first protector and the rest were killed. Shit! The moment the Imperial Court's first protector and the other two protectors were killed, some experts sensed the situation and roared out with extremely ugly expressions. What? The first protector was killed? SSS, how is this possible? Be careful. There might be a mysterious existence hiding among us. That's the God Emperor. There's still a God Emperor in the Dragon Palace. Behind them, the group of Imperial Court disciples were shivering as they shouted. Instantly, the entire Imperial Court was in a panic. Another God Emperor had appeared in the Dragon Palace. Hee, Duan Jinming, control the heaven-earth god net and kill them. The black figure was none other than Orochi. He waved his arm and tossed the heaven, earth and god net to Duan Jinming and the rest. Duan Jinming, Minghua, Golden Dragon and the rest were also cultivating in formations. Hence, they were able to control such supreme treasures very quickly. Great! 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 When Prime Minister Turtle saw that the heaven, earth and god net were obtained by the Dragon Palace, he was excited. The heaven, earth and god net were the strongest means apart from the God Emperor of the Imperial Court. Now that the Dragon Palace had obtained them, this battle was more beneficial to the Dragon Palace. Hee, Dragon King. I'm here to kill the Emperor Lord of the Imperial Court. Chapter 28:16. Great! Seeing that the Orochi had succeeded, Wang Xian was thrilled. From the start, Dragon Palace had set their sights on the Heaven, Earth, Divine Three Nets. The Heaven, Earth, Divine Three Nets was a huge problem for Dragon Palace. However, once Dragon Palace obtained it, it would be a huge help. The Heaven, Earth, Divine Three Nets were in the hands of the great protectors of the Imperial Court. Given Orochi's strength, he could instantly parasitize them and obtain the Heaven, Earth, Divine Three Nets. Damn it! All of you from Dragon Palace deserve to die. The Emperor of the Imperial Court trembled slightly as he saw the situation below. Another God Emperor had emerged from Dragon Palace. Why did they have so many God Emperors? Were God Emperors like cabbages? Three protectors were killed and Dragon Palace obtained the Heaven, Earth, Divine Three Nets. This was a huge help to Dragon Palace. Hee, old dog, we'll play with you. Today, I'd like to see how you're going to defeat Dragon Palace. Ha. Things will get interesting if you can't defeat us. Orochi roared with a stern face, his face full of excitement. All of you die. A pair of radiant wings appeared behind the Emperor of the Imperial Court. He waved his radiant staff at them. Block! Wang Xian growled. With the arrival of Orochi, the pressure on them would be lessened. If they kept defending, they could hold on for at least 10 minutes. Trash! In the middle of the witches' gathering, three figures in black robes stood there. When they saw what happened over at the Imperial Dynasty's side, they said with an ugly expression. One of the three figures had a pair of wings on his back and a blood-red eye in between his eyebrows. He was holding a treasure bottle in his hand. The one in the middle looked extremely skinny, as though he was a bag of bones. A blood-red cloth was wrapped around his neck. The last figure held a yellow flute in his hand. There was a picture of a desolate beast on the back of the flute. We can use the Heaven, Earth, Divine Three Nets now. Ha. Duan Jinming and the rest roared excitedly at the Dragon Palace. They immediately set up the Heaven, Earth, Divine Three Nets above the Dragon Palace. At this moment, a sharp metallic gleam appeared in front of them. Two massive creatures were charging towards them. Their impact was far beyond the pinnacle God King level. Just leave these two monsters to us. Boom boom boom. Up in the sky, Ao Feng Huang and the others controlled the flaming god star. The flaming black hole in the center of the god star shot out terrifying fireballs and meteorites. One after another, fireballs and meteorites fell on the bodies of the two golden mammoths, sending them flying backwards. Behind them, the wizard beast army of the Witchcraft Association hurriedly dodged to the side. Kill kill kill. On the side, numerous Imperial Dynasty disciples and experts attacked once more under the Imperial Dynasty Protectors Organization. At the front, many abyss species roared and resisted Imperial Dynasty's attack. Due to the large number of Imperial Dynasty protectors dying, the Imperial Dynasty disciples and experts weren't as strong as the abyss demons. The gap between peak god kings was even greater. Dark cloud. In front of them, the wizard followers of the Witchcraft Association had joined hands to set up an extremely powerful attack formation. Dark and gloomy clouds formed, and the whole world dimmed. A huge dark cloud, carrying a terrifying and strange energy, covered all the disciples of Dragon Palace. Heavenly net, earthly net and divine net break. Duan Jinming roared as three huge nets clashed with the dark cloud. The huge nets formed a dense lightning defense in front of them. Lightning spiders swam on the surface of the nets. Crackle crackle, bolts of lightning struck at the dark cloud, and the dark cloud dissipated rapidly. Not bad, not bad. The supreme treasure of the Imperial Dynasty is very powerful. Prime Minister Turtle smiled when he saw the heaven, earth, and divine net fending off the powerful array set up by an army of the Witchcraft Association. Damn it! When the people of the Imperial Dynasty heard this, their faces turned extremely gloomy. Similarly, the faces of the witch followers of the Witchcraft Association were also extremely grim. Witch Beast Army Charge. 100,000 experts of the Witchcraft Association rode on their war beasts and charged towards the Dragon Palace. Imperial Dragon Species resist. Heaven's Eye Arrow Unit fire. Prime Minister Turtle bellowed. Ha! Imperial Sky. AO2 roared, and city walls appeared in front of him. There was a dragon turtle pattern on the city walls, and the turtle shell on the dragon turtle pattern was emitting an earthy yellow glow. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Behind them, countless arrows flew towards the Heaven's Eye Witch Beast Army. Although the God King experts of the Witchcraft Association were of a higher level, the Dragon Palace wasn't afraid in a battle of defense. Block. Charge. The leader of the Witch Beast Army roared as beams of energy shot towards the arrows. At the same time, they continued charging towards the earthy yellow city walls. Play. At the back, Tang Yinxian stared at the Witch Beast Army. With a wave of her arm, a divine zither appeared in front of her. Buzz buzz buzz. Ring ring ring. Behind her, there were tens of thousands of young men and women. They moved and turned into dolphin-like figures. A series of sound waves blasted forward. Roar roar roar. When the sound waves reached them, the witch beasts let out chaotic roars. Bam bam bam. Some of the witch beasts seemed to be in great pain as they jumped on the spot. Bam bam bam. Roar roar roar. The instant of chaos caused the war beasts at the back to collide with the war beasts at the front. The entire witch beast army was in chaos, even before they reached the city walls. The Dragon Palace has many tricks up its sleeves. In the middle, the three figures who hadn't moved all this while frowned and commented. Let's do it. Break into the Dragon Palace and assist the sorcerers to eliminate the Emperor Gods of the Dragon Palace and the Heaven Formation. The old man in the middle who was wrapped in a crimson cloth said, I'll go first. The old man who was holding the treasure vase opened it slowly. Which goo come out? When the treasure vase opened, a hideous monster crawled out slowly. Goo came from the witch clan. This goo was nurtured by the Witchcraft Association sorcerers for millions of years. This wasn't the first goo that the Witchcraft Association had reared. In the past, the Witchcraft Association had reared one too, but it was killed by the Heaven Formation. This goo had been nurtured for millions of years and possessed the strength of an emperor god. Ka ka ka. Soon, a hideous witch goo that was 10,000 meters in size and covered in blood-colored lumps appeared in the sky. Eliminate them. The old man who was holding the treasure vase roared. Goo goo goo. The witch beast roared. With poison, darkness, and blood, it attacked all the members of the dragon palace. Chapter 28:17. Birth of a new king. 4-inch. They're starting to reveal their trump cards. When Prime Minister Turtle and the rest saw the horrifying monster charging towards them, their faces turned extremely solemn. This is just the beginning, the old man with the blood-red cloth around his neck said coldly, as he slowly untied the blood-red cloth around his neck. The cloth floated in front of the old man, giving off a bloody aura. Buzz! He stretched out his finger, and fresh blood flowed towards the blood-red cloth. 3 words appeared on it: Dragon Extermination Palace. Buzz buzz buzz. The entire cloth trembled, as if it had a mind of its own. When the 3 words were completed, the blood-red cloth seemed to have been activated as it swept towards the dragon palace. Mark of a venerable, slaughter them all. His eyes were filled with blood-red light as he roared. The sound waves coming from the dragon palace are a little strange. The earthy yellow defense looks strong too. Let's show them my control of earth. Finally, an old man with a flute in his hand looked forward and placed the flute next to his mouth. Woo woo. The sound of the flute rang out. In front of him, earthy yellow laws of energy appeared out of thin air and formed a terrifying monster. The monster formed from the laws of energy was filled with a terrifying might. It looked like a gigantic stone monster that was over 100,000 meters in size. This was another existence that could contend against a god emperor. Boom boom boom. The khaki-colored nomological monster moved its feet, creating a rumbling sound as it stepped on the void, and similarly attacked the dragon palace. Powerful witchcraft, mysterious mark of a venerable blood-red cloth, and a powerful earthy yellow monster. This was the foundation of the Witchcraft Union. Each of them was comparable to a first-order god emperor. These 3 treasures were not all the Witchcraft Union had up their sleeves. Only 2 of their trump cards were guarding the Witchcraft Union's foundation. Hiss! The Witchcraft Union is starting to take out their trump cards. How terrifying! That hideous and terrifying monster is a god emperor level existence. The monster condensed from the earth elemental law also has the might of a god emperor. Also, that crimson cloth is even weirder. Kitago Immunoyu and the other forces experts who were watching the battle from the back felt their hearts pounding when they saw the Witchcraft Union's trump card. The spectators all felt that this battle was extremely exciting. Even his heart couldn't take it. After all, this also concerned their life and death. Prepare to defend. Prime Minister Turtle looked at the 2 Emperor God-level monsters and a creepy piece of cloth. His eyes narrowed as he reminded all the members of the Dragon Palace. Prepare to die. With your strength, you won't be able to withstand it. The 3 old men stood in the center with smiles on their faces. Whoosh! Suddenly, a powerhouse from the Dark Army coughed up blood and was sent flying in their direction. Buzz! When the old man holding the bottle saw this, he waved his arm, and a gentle force landed on his body, stopping him from flying backwards. Thank you, Lord Wizard Servant. The middle-aged man with 2 black horns quickly turned around and said to the old man. The old man nodded slightly. He stared straight ahead and did not pay any more attention to him. Whoosh! However, at that moment, a black shadow suddenly emerged from the middle-aged man's body. In an instant, he arrived in front of the 3 wizard servants. TSK TSK TSK. A creepy ear-piercing sound was heard. The 3 wizard servants narrowed their eyes and were shocked. Shit! Die! Bastards from the Witchcraft Union! The creepy black shadow's pitch-black claws covered the 3 of them and carried the might of an emperor god. Run! The 3 of them were horrified. Without any hesitation, they tried to escape to the side. However, they were still far from being an emperor god. When the terrifying attack landed on them, sharp thorns appeared in their palms and pierced towards them. The 3 of them revealed a look of despair. The old man who was holding the vase poured energy into the vase. The earthen yellow monsters that were attacking the dragon palace dissipated, and earthen yellow laws covered the old man's body. Pfft! The sound of something penetrating was heard. Ha! However, Emo Shaw frowned and let out a gasp of surprise. At the next moment, he felt a terrifying force charging towards him from his palm. Mo Sha waved his arm and kept the other two corpses before retreating. Tsk. When he retreated thousands of kilometers, he realized that the old man holding the bottle was shrouded by the law of earth and was letting out ear-piercing screams. Impressive. What a powerful treasure. Mo Sha smiled. He moved and immediately flew towards the direction of the Dragon Palace. Tsk. Another great reward. He looked to the front. There the blood-red cloth that was giving off a creepy aura and powerful aura was shrinking and drifting downwards. In a flash, he appeared before Prime Minister Turtle and the rest with the cloth and waved his arm. Study this creepy thing and see if it can be used. Tsk. Dragon King, I'm coming. Mo Sha laughed maniacally and joined the battle against the Emperor God. Everything happened in an instant. From the moment Mo Sha attacked to the moment he charged towards Wang Xian, everything happened in an instant. The entire battlefield paused. At this moment, be it the people from the Imperial Court or the Witchcraft Union, all of them widened their eyes and trembled in fear. The two wizard servants have been killed. Another God Emperor from the Dragon Palace. Another God Emperor. How is this possible? How many God Emperors does the Dragon Palace have? At this moment, the people from the Imperial Court were breaking down. At the start, there were 10 God Emperors, which far exceeded the strength of the Imperial Court. Now there were 2 God Emperors consecutively. What was worse was that a creepy God Emperor from the Dragon Palace had hidden among the disciples and snatched away the heaven, earth, divine 3 nets. One took the appearance of an expert from the Witchcraft Union and killed the 2 wizard servants instantly, snatching away a treasure that could fight against God Emperors. How were they going to fight after such a situation happened consecutively? Some of the disciples from the Imperial Court were in despair. They felt that it would be difficult to wipe out the Dragon Palace today. Not just the Imperial Court, even the experts from the Witchcraft Union were grimacing. When they came, they had never expected the Dragon Palace to be so terrifying. Even more terrifying than the Sky Array God Emperor. Dragon Palace, why do you have so many God Emperors? When the Emperor God saw Mo Sha flying over, and the changes below, his body trembled once again as he roared. They wanted to ask the heavens and the earth why did the Dragon Palace have so many experts? They were clear about the development of the Dragon Palace. That woman was already terrifying enough, but they had not expected the Dragon Palace to be even more terrifying. Chapter 28:18. Birth of a New King 5-inch. This Dragon Palace. The sorcerer who was fighting Xiaolan by the side saw another Emperor God from Dragon Palace. His face darkened as he looked at the Emperor Lord. He had a bad feeling about this. The successive occurrences not only dealt a huge blow to their morale, but also greatly weakened their strength. The Imperial Court's treasure, the Universal Divine 3 nets, and the Witchcraft Alliance's Scar of the Venerable One. The Scar of the Venerable One had been snatched away by Dragon Palace. His heart was bleeding. Under such circumstances, Dragon Palace, together with the countless abyss species, was able to stand against them. Damn it! The sorcerer bellowed, and the Purgatory World Array diagram in the sky launched a series of destructive attacks towards Little Blue. Woo woo woo! Xiaolan's body vibrated with grayish energy. It was unafraid of his attacks. However, Xiaolan couldn't suppress the sorcerer, like how it suppressed the Emperor Lord of the Imperial Court. In terms of strength, it wasn't too far away from the sorcerer of the Witchcraft Alliance. With the addition of Devilish, the 10 Emperor Gods of Dragon Palace weren't at a disadvantage against the Emperor Lord of the Imperial Court. They could even surround him and counterattack. 2 Emperor Gods of the Imperial Court were fighting against 2 Emperor God Abyss species. They were also completely entangled. At the Heaven Array, he was controlling the array to fight against the 4 Emperor Gods of the Witchcraft Alliance. He was fighting from afar, and wasn't at a disadvantage. Even Xiao Zhai was able to deal with the Emperor God of the Witchcraft Alliance. The situation was completely stabilized. We withstood it. Dragon Palace withstood the joint attack of the Imperial Court and the Witchcraft Alliance. They're too strong. Ha ha ha. Great, this is great. At this moment, the most excited were the experts and disciples from North Creek sect. The situation had stabilized. The Imperial Court and the Witchcraft Alliance wouldn't be able to destroy such a powerful Dragon Palace. As long as Dragon Palace was around, they wouldn't be in any danger. All disciples of Dragon Palace prepared to counterattack. At this moment, Prime Minister Turtle looked at the situation in front of him. His eyes shone brightly as he shouted excitedly, "It was time to counterattack." Based on the trump card that the Witches Association had displayed so far, the mark of the Venerable had been obtained by the Dragon Palace. All that was left was the bloody and ferocious witchcraft goo and the earth element monster that was condensed from the treasure bottle. These two God Emperor level existences were completely entangled by the Heaven-Earth God's three nets. The entire Witch Legion was completely suppressed by the Flame God Star. The Dragon Palace was not afraid of the remaining Wizard Beast Army and Dark Army. Coupled with the countless abyssal species, the Dragon Palace was even stronger than the Imperial Court and the Witch Union. In the sky, Xiaolan ordered all the abyssal species to attack. The other two God Emperor Abyss species roared, ordering all the Abyss species to attack. Kill. So. Boom boom boom. Under Prime Minister Turtle's orders, the Imperial Dragon held the Earth Shield and charged forward. Behind them, the Heaven's Eye Arrow unit fired a barrage of arrows towards the front. Dragon Palace Berserk Dragon species, Heaven Lightning Earth and Fire Dragon Phoenix species, Spike Dragon species, Starwood Dragon species, and many others followed closely behind the Imperial Dragon species, charging towards the enemies ahead. At the side, with the orders from their leader, countless abyssal species charged forward with bloodthirst and violence. The entire battlefield was in a frenzy. Kill, kill, kill. When the Imperial Court experts and disciples saw the Dragon Palace and the abyssal species counterattacking, their hearts pounded. The Imperial Court protectors could only grit their teeth and give the order to attack. Kill. Countless Imperial Court disciples and experts could only bite the bullet and charge towards the abyssal species. It was a truly brutal attack. Such a war didn't break out in the Abyss previously. However, it broke out on the island of the Imperial Court in their lair. In an instant, blood splattered all over the place. The truly brutal war had begun. The fearless abyssal species and the Imperial Court disciples had no choice but to fight. Shit. Sorcerer. Does the Witch Union still have any trump cards? The Emperor Lord's heart sank when he saw the war erupting below. Hundreds of thousands of Imperial Court disciples were dying every second. He roared immediately. Boom boom boom. The sorcerer from the Witch Union didn't say a word. He just attacked Xiaolan. Right now his expression was also very ugly. According to the news from the Imperial Court, the Dragon Palace only had 4 God Emperors. In addition to the 2 God Emperor abyssal species, 6. But now, the Dragon Palace had a total of 13. In addition to the God Emperor abyssal species, they had a total of 15. This was excluding the Sky Array God Emperor. There were 9 more God Emperors than the Imperial Court had given them. A total of 9 God Emperors. In a huge war, usually 1 God Emperor would be able to change the tides of the battle. But now, there were 9 more God Emperors. These were 9 God Emperors. Every single one of them was a famous existence in the starry sky. With 9 more God Emperors, the Dragon Palace was able to fight against them. One could imagine how much preparation the Witch Union had made to kill the Sky Array God Emperor. To them, there was a 10,000% chance that they could destroy the Sky Array. But now, although the Witch Union didn't bring all their trump cards with them, the remaining 2 trump cards were too big and not easy to carry. They could only be treated as treasures of the Union. Under such circumstances, not only did they fail to take down the Dragon Palace, they failed to suppress the Sky Array. Instead, they were attacked by the other party. It would be impossible to destroy the Sky Array. It could also be said that they had lost this time. Moreover, after witnessing the strength of the Dragon Palace, it would be extremely difficult to destroy the Sky Array in the future. At the thought of this, his body trembled. Once the Sky Array recovered to its peak, the Witch Union would face a calamity. But now they had no other way. He didn't blame the imperial court. He knew that the imperial court wasn't clear of the strength of the Dragon Palace. They were the ones who suffered the greatest loss this time. The sorcerer from the Witch Union didn't speak. The imperial court Emperor Lord's face darkened. He knew that the Witch Union had no more trump cards. The imperial court Emperor Lord roared in disbelief. He wielded the scepter of light and attacked furiously. They had failed. Their alliance with the Witch Union had failed. How were they going to fight against the Dragon Palace in the future? In fact, the entire Imperial Star region would be occupied by the Dragon Palace. The islands of the Imperial Court would become the territory of the Dragon Palace. Moreover, they had to prevent the Dragon Palace from attacking them. Given the strength of the Dragon Palace, they could destroy the Imperial Court. Defeat, a complete and utter defeat. Ha ha ha, the Witch Union can't do it. Even with the Imperial Court, you can't do it. The four of you can't even fight against me alone. You're too weak. Ha ha ha. In the center of the Nine-God formation, Sky Array saw this scene and laughed heartily. In front of him, the faces of the Emperor and the other three Emperor gods from the Witch Union were as black as ink. Chapter 28:19. Birth of a New King 6-inch Kill. Boom boom boom. In the sky above, a group of god emperors was engaged in a huge battle. Down below, the slaughter had completely broken out. The witchcraft goo from the Witchcraft Society and the abyssal seed condensed from the Earth Elemental Law were completely entangled by the Heaven, Earth and Divine three nets. Now the Dragon Palace relied on the Fire God Star to suppress the entire witch army. They had 400,000 God King and above experts. And the Dragon Palace did not lose out to them. After the Battle of the Abyss, the weakest member of the Dragon Palace had the strength of a Divine King. With the support of the Divine Fire Star, the Dragon Palace was slowly suppressing the Wizard Association. Moreover, the Abyss species that Lan Qingyue controlled were also helping the Dragon Palace in battle. As for the Imperial Dynasty, they were in trouble. The Imperial Court only had over 20 peak stage God King experts, while the Abyss species had close to 60 peak stage God King experts. The huge gap caused the experts of the Imperial Dynasty to be killed quickly. If this continued, the entire Imperial Dynasty would be slaughtered. Great Ancestor, we are no match for the abyssal species. The violent battle only lasted for a minute before an Imperial Court protector couldn't help but roar. His words caused the hearts of the Emperor Lords of the Imperial Court to tremble violently. Retreat, retreat to our heavenly witchcraft region. The sorcerer looked down and said with a gloomy expression. At the same time, he sent an invitation to the Imperial Court. In the face of a powerful enemy, like the Heavenly Dragon Palace formation, even the Shaman Association was no match for it. Once the Dragon Palace and the Heavenly Array attacked, the shamans would not be able to defend themselves. Only by working together with the Imperial Dynasty would they be able to fight against the Dragon Palace Heaven formation. All Imperial Court disciples retreat. When the Sovereign Lord heard his words, his eyes reddened and he almost cried. This retreat was different from the previous one. Previously, they thought that they would be able to kill their way here in half a month and destroy the Dragon Palace. If he retreated, he would probably leave the Imperial Star region forever and become a stray dog. However, he also knew that if he didn't retreat he would die. At this time, if they retreated to the Heavenly Witch Domain and joined forces with the Witch Association, there was still a chance of revenge. Retreat! Retreat! All elders and deacons retreat. When the Imperial Court protectors and the others heard the Great Ancestor's words, they immediately roared loudly. Retreat! Run, 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 run away from here. When some of the Imperial Court's disciples heard this order, their faces lit up with joy, and they immediately roared out. Boom boom boom. One by one, the Imperial Court experts released layers of defense and retreated. Members of the Witches Association retreat. The sorcerer looked down at his subordinates and gave the same command. Lord Magus, should we return to the Divine Kingdom? The entire Witchcraft Union didn't collapse like the Imperial Court. They received the order, and an expert from the Witchcraft Union asked. No, you can't. Sorcerer, We Imperial Court experts have our own god nations. Once you become members of the Sorcerer Association and run away, our Imperial Court disciples will be finished. The Sovereign Lord said agitatedly, as soon as the powerhouse from the Witch Association finished speaking. All the experts in the Imperial Dynasty had their own god countries with them. They couldn't escape at all. Once the Shaman Alliance's experts escaped, the Dragon Palace would change targets and attack the Imperial Court's disciples. Would the Imperial Court even be able to escape? Retreat as we fight. The shaman of the Witchcraft Association pondered for a moment before ordering his disciple. It's Lord Magus. Retreat as you fight. The expert from the Witchcraft Association replied immediately. Trying to escape? Wang Xian's eyes flashed coldly when he heard them. He looked around and fixed his gaze on Sky Formation. Sky Formation. Hold back the 4 Emperor Gods of the Witchcraft Association. Fiery Star. Assist Sky Formation. Xiaolan. Order all the Abyss species to attack. Keep attacking. If they escape, we'll chase after them. All Dragon Palace disciples chase after them. You want to annihilate the Dragon Palace? Do you think it's so easy for you to leave now? Ha ha ha, kill them. Wang Xian bellowed furiously. You came to attack the Dragon Palace. Now that you're no match for us, how can we let you go so easily? Yes, Dragon King. Sky Formation's aura shook again when he heard Wang Xian's command. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. For from the Witchcraft Association, either you escape to your Void Divine Kingdom, or you'll be trapped here. 9 Gods Formation burn. Sky Formation bellowed. Rumble, rumble, rumble. At the side, Ao Fenghuang and the rest controlled the direction of the fiery star. Once any Emperor God of the Witchcraft Association tried to escape, they would attack immediately. Woo woo woo. Xiaolan let out a roar. At the same time, she sent a message to the other 2 Void God Abyss species. Even without Wang Xian's command, the Berserk Abyss species wanted to chase after them. You! When the Emperor Lord of the Imperial Court heard Wang Xian, he held his breath and his eyes turned bloodshot. He knew Wang Xian's plan. Sky Formation relied on this grotto heaven, and had the geographical advantage to fight against the 4 Emperor Gods of the Witchcraft Association. Once they left this place, Sky Formation God Emperor wouldn't be able to fight against the 4 Emperor Gods of the Witchcraft Association. Locking the 4 of them here, the Dragon King and the other Emperor Gods would keep them in check. Below them, the members of the Abyss species in Dragon Palace could still hunt and kill the disciples of the Imperial Court. If they continued to chase after them, the disciples of the Imperial Court would suffer heavy losses. Go to hell. The Emperor Lord of the Imperial Court looked a little crazy as he attacked Wang Xian and the rest violently. Ehe! Wang Xian laughed coldly. The group immediately went up to block him. Run, run, run. Hurry up and run. Below them, everyone from the Imperial Court and Witchcraft Association started to escape. Chase and kill. Prime Minister Turtle immediately gave the order to chase and roared loudly. Rumble, rumble, rumble. All the members of the Dragon Palace immediately attacked from behind. Countless Abyss species let out roars as they chased after them. Sorcerer Army, assist the people of the Imperial Court. As the Divine Flame Star helped the Sky Formation to hold back the 4 Emperor Gods of the Witchcraft Association, the experts of the Sorcerer Army were freed up. The leader of the Sorcerer Army pondered for a moment before giving an order. The Sorcerer Army was the strongest army of the Witchcraft Association. Those who could enter it were all array grandmasters. Among them, there were more than 10 peak Divine King experts. Thank you, experts of the Witchcraft Association. The Imperial Court is extremely grateful. In the sky, an Emperor God of the Imperial Court saw this and expressed his gratitude. Run, run, run. The Sorcerer Army can't keep protecting everyone in the Imperial Court. The leader of the Sorcerer Army shouted, even without the suppression of the Divine Flame Star. As array masters, their combat power would be greatly reduced if they didn't have the geographical advantage. In fact, once the array masters got close to them, they could be easily killed by those of the same level. Secondly, there were too many Abyss species and too many powerful ones. When they fought with the Abyss species, The Dragon Palace didn't suffer much loss even if the Abyss species died. But their losses were real losses. Therefore, something unexpected happened. The Imperial Court and the Witchcraft Association started to flee. Please subscribe for support. Chapter 28-20. There are 3 pinnacle Undying God King Abyss species here. They are too fast. Request for reinforcements. Oh no! The archers of the Dragon Palace are attacking us. Dodge, dodge. Use your god country to block. Even if your god country collapses, it's fine as long as you are alive. Hong hong hong. At the north of the Imperial Dynasty Island, the billions of Imperial Dynasty disciples and experts that came with a ferocious aura were almost crawling away. The Witchcraft Alliance was fine, as they were all top experts. If they wanted to escape, it would be easy. But on the Imperial Dynasty side, 90% of them were God Master level experts. Facing the attacks of Dragon Palace and the Abyss species, they could only retreat bit by bit. The speed of his retreat was very, very slow. If not for the experts of the Witchcraft Alliance blocking most of the attacks, they wouldn't have been able to escape far. Even so, they would lose a large number of disciples and experts every time they escaped. This was a bloody path. Roar, roar. In the sky above, the Imperial Dynasty Emperor Lord and the other 2 God Emperors roared in rage. When they were in the sky, they fought with Wuxia and the others while retreating with the team. They looked down and their hearts were bleeding. At every moment, their experts and disciples were being hunted by the Abyss species and Dragon Palace. They found it hard to imagine how many experts and disciples of the Imperial Dynasty would be able to survive if they continued to hunt them down. Dragon Palace. Dragon Palace. Just you wait. The Imperial Dynasty Emperor Lord was filled with helplessness and rage as he roared. Hehe. Wuxia looked at his infuriated expression and sneered coldly. Winner takes all. If Dragon Palace lost, everyone in Dragon Palace would be wiped out. Even Yu Beichuan sect and the others would be wiped out. Now that they lost, they had to pay a heavy price. Wuxia knew that they weren't the ones who started this war. As for how many people died, that was the decision of the Imperial Dynasty experts. In the sky above, the group of God Emperors fought as they retreated with the team from the Witchcraft Alliance. Wuxia and the others knew that with their strength, they wouldn't be able to keep the group of God Emperors. They just had to pin them down, restrain them and hunt down the experts and disciples of the Imperial Court Shaman Association. A vast war was slowly moving towards the north. This battle was no less tragic than the Battle of Dishur back then. Time passed bit by bit, and the bloody path continued to extend below. The fresh blood made countless abyssal species extremely excited. They were filled with killing intent as they chased after him. Imperial Dynasty's disciples and experts were quickly decreasing. The entire void was filled with the smell of blood. Not far behind them, the group of powerful disciples from the Moon sect, the Beichuan clan, stopped after following them for an hour. Gulp! Who would have thought that this would happen? The Imperial Court and Success Shaman Association lost too badly. The Dragon Palace is too strong. The Imperial Court is about to be chased out of the Imperial Star region. They probably won't dare to enter the Imperial Star region in the future. Ha ha ha, sect leader, we're going to rise. We're going to be rich. The Imperial Court has fallen, and a new king has risen. We're the subjects of the Dragon Palace. We're going to be rich. After the Imperial Court escapes, the Dragon Palace will take over the entire territory of the Imperial Court. There are only 400,000 to 500,000 members in the Dragon Palace. We've always been on the side of the Dragon Palace. We're the subjects of the Dragon Palace. With the birth of the new king, we'll rise completely. The people from the Moon sect, Beichuan clan, Ancient God Dynasty, Dragon Python group, and the other forces all stopped and swallowed their saliva. The group of experts roared excitedly. The Imperial Court had fallen, and the new king of the Dragon Palace was born. As people who were on the same side of the Dragon Palace, as subjects of the Dragon Palace, they would also rise rapidly. In the future, with the protection of the Dragon Palace, who would dare to offend them in the entire Imperial Star region? Most importantly, with the Dragon Palace's strength, Even the abyss would have to bow down to them when they ascended to the throne. After the abyss was stabilized, the entire Imperial Star region would no longer be in danger. Then they would truly prosper. At the thought of this, all the people from the various forces were excited and thrilled. The invincible army of the Imperial Court and the Witch Union has already passed by us for more than 10 hours. I wonder what the situation on the Imperial Court's island is like. The Witch Union doesn't seem to have many people, but their power is really terrifying. The Witch Union is much stronger than the Imperial Court. If they join forces, it'll be very easy to destroy the Dragon Palace. By now, the Dragon Palace might have already been defeated and destroyed. Yes, the two sides aren't even on the same level. Although the Dragon Palace is strong and can be called the 8th major force in the bedazzling star region, how can it resist the alliance of two major forces? At this time, on a planet in the north of the Imperial Court's territory, the entire planet was discussing the alliance of the Imperial Court and the Witch Union to attack the Dragon Palace. Especially when they saw the army of the Imperial Court and the Witch Union fly past them not long ago. They couldn't see the situation on the battlefield, but almost no one was optimistic about the Dragon Palace's chances. Few in the entire bedazzling star region could resist the alliance of two major forces. In their opinion, the Dragon Palace naturally couldn't resist either. The artificial intelligence system was also discussing the situation of the battle. Everyone was guessing. Almost 100% of the people didn't think the Dragon Palace would win. Boom, boom, boom. Get out of the way, get out of the way. Ah! All of a sudden, a terrifying sound rang out from the calm void. Terrifying collisions and violent roars filled with malevolent aura. Hurried shouts and screams could be heard. All sorts of noises came crashing towards this peaceful planet. At the same time, a wave of vast energy was charging towards them. Just the aftermath of that energy was enough to destroy a weak planet. What's going on? What's happening? Gosh, look. There are experts fighting over there. Terrifying experts are fighting. That's the people from the Imperial Court. That's the golden elephant from the Witch Union. Look up, it's the God Emperor fighting. The Imperial Court and the Witch Union are fighting with the abyss species of the Dragon Palace. No, it's the Imperial Court and the Witch Union who are on the run. Gosh, how is that possible? The Dragon Palace is chasing after the Witch Union and the Imperial Court. SSS, the Dragon Palace is chasing after two major forces. When the vast aura and all sorts of sounds came, some experts on the planet immediately flew into the void. When they saw what was happening on the other side, their eyes widened in disbelief. What did they see? The Dragon Palace was leading the abyss species to chase after the Imperial Court and the Witch Union. They were fleeing in defeat. How was that possible? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.